War Department military intelligence film Nazi Newsreels 1940. They were dissecting every frame, hunting for secrets hidden between the lines of propaganda. This was a weapon, a tool to understand the enemy's mind. They were looking for troop morale, for equipment flaws, for the subtle and inevitable power of the German Reich. It's a performance in 3 acts, each designed to stir national pride and project an image of unbreakable strength. The first act is a celebration of destiny and duty, likely from around 1940. It opens not with a bang, but with the quiet, authoritative stroke of a pen. We see the formal signing of population transfer agreements, ornate seals being pressed into wax. The message? This is order. This is legitimacy. This isn't conquest, the film implies, but the natural, peaceful administration of Europe under new, decisive leadership. There's no hint of the backroom deals and coercion really going on. To the average German viewer, this was proof of a new European order, forged with a dignified and confident hand. From the halls of power, the story then cuts to a face every German would recognize. Max Schmeling, the former heavyweight champion of the world. Only he's not in a boxing ring. He's in the uniform of the Fallschirmjäger, Germany's elite paratroopers. Propaganda newsreels of the era showed him serving his country, his famous hands now preparing for a different kind of fight. For the propaganda machine, this was a masterstroke. Schmeling was more than an athlete. He was a national icon. His voluntary service was a powerful symbol, turning celebrity into a testament of national sacrifice. The message was clear. In this new Germany, every man, from the statesman to the star athlete, serves the fatherland with discipline and courage. The second act of this propaganda symphony takes us to the blazing sands of North Africa. The setting is different, but the theme of masterful competence is the same. Here, we meet the new titans of the war, the leaders of the vaunted Africa Corps. The camera finds General Erwin Rommel, the Desert Fox, alongside senior figures like the Italian Marshal Cavallero and perhaps even General Kesselring. They're shown as calm, assured, and in complete control, poring over maps in a desert headquarters. The footage is a highlight reel of military efficiency. We see reconnaissance units pointing out enemy tire tracks in the sand, proof of their alertness. An anti-aircraft alarm sounds, but there's no panic. German gunners calmly take their positions, fill the sky with flak, and swiftly down a British plane. The narration might claim the British deliberately burn the dwellings of locals, painting the enemy as cruel and destructive. This is immediately followed by a sequence showing German artillery repelling a British tank attack with precision. Every scene is designed to showcase the tactical genius of Rommel and the superiority of the German soldier. The final and most dramatic act jumps forward to the summer of 1944. The tone shifts from victory abroad to survival and loyalty at home. The reel presents the aftermath of the failed July 20th assassination attempt on Adolf Hitler. The audience is shown the wreckage of the conference room, including the flag-draped caskets. The camera finds him again, just hours after the attempt, warmly greeting Mussolini at a train station. He appears unharmed, resolute, and firmly in charge. The propaganda narrative here is one of divine providence. A conspiracy by a small, conscienceless clique of officers has failed. Their treachery only revealed the Führer's almost supernatural protection and galvanized the German people's loyalty. To the audience in 1944, this wasn't a story about a fractured regime. It was a story of miraculous deliverance and unwavering resolve. Section 2. The Hidden Story, an analyst's dissection. An American intelligence analyst would have watched that exact same film and seen a completely different story. Their job was to ignore the soaring music and triumphant narration and look for the cracks in the veneer. For them, this reel wasn't a symphony of power. It was a collection of clues, a psychological profile of a regime under pressure. Let's rewind and watch it again, this time through their eyes. The first act, the celebration of diplomacy and celebrity, would have immediately raised flags. The analyst watching the pact signing isn't looking at the documents, they're studying the people. What's the body language of the other statesmen forced to sign away their nation's futures? Are those smiles genuine or forced? The analyst would note the names of every official present, cross-referencing them with existing intelligence. The ceremony, meant to project order, is now being scanned for evidence of coercion. Then there's the footage of Max Schmeling. An analyst would see the obvious propaganda value, but their focus would be on the details the director didn't care about. What model of transport plane is that? A Junkers Ju-52, reliable, but getting old. Note that down. What kind of parachute is he using? Pause the film. Is it a new design, or are there signs of rushed wartime production? They'd look at the faces of the other paratroopers. The propaganda wants us to see resolve. The analyst looks for fear, for youth, for inexperience. The fact that the regime needs a famous boxer to promote the paratroopers might even suggest that recruiting is tough, or that the force's image needed a boost after the staggering losses they took in places like Crete. The hero on screen tells one story. The background details might tell a truer one. Now, we're back in the North African desert. The analyst would look right past the heroic shots of Rommel and start hunting for technical intelligence. When German tanks roll by, they wouldn't just see a tank. They'd be asking, is that a Panzer III or a newer Panzer IV? What's the length of its main gun? They'd be looking for visual proof of upgrades. They'd scrutinize the condition of the tanks. Is that patched-over damage? Are the tracks worn? The state of the equipment gives direct insight into German logistics. They'd also study the soldiers. Do they look energized, as the narration suggests, or are there signs of fatigue and poor supply? That brief shot of repelling a British attack is paused and examined. What artillery are they using? Are those 88mm guns in an anti-tank role? This confirms a critical tactical adaptation. Footage designed to show German strength is systematically stripped for parts, reassembled into a mosaic of intelligence on enemy tech, tactics, and logistics. Finally, the analyst gets to the 1944 footage of the assassination attempt. This is the jackpot. Where the German civilian saw divine intervention, the American spy sees a regime that almost tore itself apart. The footage of the wrecked conference room is examined minutely. Based on the damage to the thick wooden table and the blown-out walls, they could begin to estimate the size and type of the explosive used. This wasn't a crude bomb. It was a sophisticated military device, confirming the involvement of high-level conspirators. Then the analyst focuses on the people. As Hitler greets Mussolini, who is in the background? Archival footage of these events often shows figures like Göring and, crucially, the head of the SS, Heinrich Himmler. In the hours after an attempt on his life by army officers, Hitler is seen not with his generals, but with the head of the SS. This is a monumental tell. It visually confirms the power shift taking place. The German army is being purged, and the fanatical SS is rising. For an analyst, this is concrete evidence of a deep and violent internal fracture. This last part of the reel is the most valuable of all. It's no longer about counting tanks. It's about confirming the mortal vulnerability of the Nazi leadership itself. Section 3, the intelligence payoff. So when the lights come up in the screening room, what have the analysts actually learned? This compiled film is far more valuable than any single newsreel. Because it spans several years, it provides a unique timeline of the Nazi narrative and the pressures on it. In the early parts, from 1940 and 41, The intelligence takeaway would be one of confident expansion. The analysis would focus on tangible assets, aircraft models, parachute designs. The propaganda is broad, celebrating national service and diplomatic dominance. It's the messaging of a power that believes its own hype. Moving to the North Africa footage, an analyst's report would likely note a shift. The propaganda is becoming more specific, more hero-focused. It's not just about the German soldier, it's about Rommel. This reliance on a personality cult suggests the desert war is tough. They need a hero to personify the struggle. The technical intelligence here is crucial, confirming the use of 88s against tanks, noting wear and tear on panzers. But the psychological intelligence is just as important. The need to create the Desert Fox myth is a sign that the campaign isn't the cakewalk they once promised. But the final segment, the 1944 footage, would deliver the most critical intelligence. A report on this would go up the chain of command immediately. It provides visual confirmation of a high-level conspiracy inside the Wehrmacht. It shows the regime's panicked reaction, the immediate elevation of the SS, and the desperate attempt to spin the event as a sign of strength. For an analyst in mid-1944, this proves the enemy's command structure is in turmoil. It proves the Nazi regime is not a monolith. This kind of information would have been operationally vital. It could influence everything from strategic bombing targets to Allied propaganda aimed at demoralizing the German army. The report would conclude that the Nazi state was now in a defensive crouch, psychologically as well as militarily. This single reel, by collecting these different moments, tells a story the Germans never intended. It charts the course of their own self-perception, from the arrogance of 1940 to the gritty hero worship of the Desert War, and finally, to the brittle, paranoid reaction to internal collapse in 1944. So this collection of film, catalogued away in the National Archives, is more than a historical curiosity. It's a fever chart of the Third Reich. The Nazi propaganda machine wanted to show a story of strength, destiny, and divine protection. But what the U.S. War Department saw was a story of growing desperation. They saw the nuts and bolts of the war machine, yes, but more importantly, they saw the growing cracks in the armor of a regime that would soon be consumed by its own fire. These captured newsreels, intended to build a myth, ultimately helped the Allies tear it down. It's a stark reminder that in war, information is a weapon, and understanding your enemy's story, both the one they tell the world and the one they secretly tell themselves, is often the key to victory. If you enjoy these deep dives into the hidden corners of military history, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Thank you for watching.